There's a lot of buzz right now regarding Antifa being labeled a terrorist organization. I think we need to take a moment and remember who Antifa is, where they got their starts from, and who's been paying them all this time. They're not just your mama's brown coats. They're coming for you. They're coming for you.
He's so fluffy, I'm gonna die.
September 17th, Trump announced that he is labeling Antifa a terrorist organization. The reason why this is very important is this gives him the ability to really begin shut down and tracking Antifa. It's already rumored that there's already undercover agents in multiple Antifa cells. Antifa operates similar to ISIS in the sense that there is no centralized location for everything. They are a terrorist network. There is a series of cells that act independently from one another. So if you remember the famous Christopher Wray testimony, says, "Oh, Antifa is more of an idea." Please, Antifa is a decentralized organization. It's very difficult to cut off the head of the snake when there's no head. However, you can damage the body enough to where it no longer functions, especially if you cut off the funding going to it. Who or what is Antifa? We all remember Antifa from 2020. What a lot of people don't realize is how prevalent and disgusting they are, and how much they have sunk their claws into America. They are pretty much radicalized and throughout the entire United States, with chapters in every major city from coast to coast. They even have gone international now. So it's not that Antifa is just in Portland or up in Seattle. They are literally coast to coast and have been for some time. They are throughout the world, predominantly the Western world, because we're the only ones that will put up with their antics. While the rest of the world lays down the smackdown, we roll over for them and give them more money so they can burn down businesses. Makes sense to me. The original Antifa came out when Hitler was rising to power. Specifically, they fought against the Nazis, as they love to claim. What they don't tell you is that they fought the Nazis so they could institute their own brand of communism. They often love to scream, well, we're anti-fascist, but what they fail to explain is they're fascist too, they're just communist. What a lot of people in Antifa like to claim is that they're anti-fascist. It's in the name. It's in the name, guys. That's not how that works. I can call myself The Rock, and no matter how many times I say I'm The Rock, you can clearly see I'm not The Rock. It's just asinine. They did, however, get their start in Germany back around World War II, specifically fighting the Nazis, or so they claim. What they don't tell you is that they were fighting the Nazis to set up their own communist utopia. They wanted to install what Stalin was doing in Russia. Well, Lenin, and then Stalin after Stalin killed Lenin, but you get the picture. So it's not like they're trying to help everyone and destroy the fascists. They're trying to help everyone by starving you to death with a bread line. Bernie would be so proud. They initially started, of course, overseas, and they came here through primarily a organization called the Weather Underground. It got in a lot of popularity in the 1960s and really kicked the streets in 1969 through the 70s. And what I love about it is, does this sound similar? They advocated for students to take up arms against the United States. They were an offshoot from the Students for Democratic Society, a socialist group, because again, we all know how well Marxism works out. They bombed multiple state buildings. As you can imagine, this made them pretty popular with the U.S. government and not so popular with the American public. With that, they had to do a rebrand and label themselves the MCO, the May 19th Communist Organization. What's wonderful about May 19th, according to them, is that was when Mao was born, May 19th. Again, they are anti-fascist in the sense they want communism. So it's not that they want you to start killing a specific group and gassing them. They want you to starve in a breadline. So they just want to kill you, but in a different way. So that makes them better than the fascists. The May 19th group, or NCO, was a direct offshoot from Weather Underground. Weather Underground was getting so popular, they pretty much dissolved and fragmented into several other organizations. May 19th, or MCO, they pretty much supported BLA and FALN, as we'll see, is a real hardcore organization with robberies. So this was kind of the funding arm. They would go around, do extortion, threaten local businesses, and perform robberies in order to fund these other organizations. So again, a real nice org that's really out there to help the people. Black Liberation Army. This is an offshoot from the Black Panthers, and they continued their black separatist supremacy type organization throughout the 70s. They advocated for violence against the U.S. government, robberies, prison breaks, and attacking law enforcement. They were loosely involved and received help and organization administration from some of these other groups. FALN, the Fuerzas Armadas de Liberación Nacional. These guys are hardcore. They're a bunch of Puerto Rican Marxists, and they like to blow stuff up. They did get pretty popular for killing indiscriminately, which meant that, nobody really liked them, but they were heavily involved and again received funding from the MCO. Now, the group that was orchestrating all this, or was the front group, is the John Brown Anti-Klan Committee. They like to say that they were fighting the KKK. In reality, they were snorting cocaine and just acting as, we're the good guys, we're helping and fighting fascism. They were pretty much the front and recruited for all these others. They recruited for Black Liberation Army, the FALN, the May 19th group. They were the front men that put on the pretty face and said, hey, we want to go to these student organizations, we want to go to the colleges, we want to go to these parties, and we're going to recruit for these other orgs. Come with us, buddy. We're going to make you a hero. Needless to say, you can see where all of these orgs pretty much started drying up in the 80s. What happened in the 80s? Oh yeah, Carter was gone. In you got Reagan. And Reagan wasn't going to put up with this. Reagan said was going to stamp this out. So again, you had to go through another rebranding. Now, they had to tone everything down, and they became the Anti-Racist Action Network. They were established again in the 1980s once these other groups were beginning tamped out, and they technically are continued out to today. This is where you're getting your more modern Antifa. This is where they started realizing, hey, we need to decentralized, and that helps makes us immune for when one of our cells gets captured. We still have plenty others that are functioning and working. So they pretty much settled up in Seattle, Minneapolis, Chicago, LA, and Portland, and they also formed the Midwest Anti-Fascist Network. You also may know the Torch Anti-Fascist Network, and all these are essentially amalgamations of Antifa. This is where Antifa initially gets their start. This is the beginnings of what we know today as Antifa. Now, for those who are part of the Ray crowd and like to think that Antifa is not really an organization, they have their own chapter process where you can apply, where you can help collect dues, where you can get pamphlets and material, where you can get training, where you can get legal support. But again, they're not an organization. They just help you do all these things like an organization. Funny how that works. Their goals, this is coming directly from the Antifa's website, ARA, this one chapter that is still working, functioning as today. They're kind of disjointed right now because, again, since 2013 and on, they've pretty much become part of Antifa. But they have their goals to distribute propaganda to schools, concerts, and prison. Looking for the weak-minded and weak-willed. Sending speakers to schools, community orgs, and prisons. Do you think they do Tranny Story Hour? Probably. Andy No did a wonderful statistic basically stating that a third of all Antifa identify as transgender or binary, non-binary. What a surprise. Deny anyone that think that they are hostile towards people of color, women, immigrants, queer, trans folk, and disabled and others using innovative and effective tactics, aka violence. Yeah, very innovative. Beliefs that racism comes from society, that all cops, whether they're actually white or not, are white supremacists, and then cops will attack them on sight. So they take their cult and say, hey, if you see a cop, they will attack you in sight, so run and don't do anything with them. Believe that they have to proactively take action before it's too late. This gets back into what you can imagine happened to Charlie and others, is they believe that by me speaking right now, this is violence, and therefore I am proverbially creating ripples in a pond, and they have to act and silence voices before those ripples turn into real violence. So by them killing people as they speak, they're preventing future violence. Well, one of those Minority Report type deals, yeah, pre-crime. They believe fascism is nationalism. I don't think they understand exactly what nationalism is, but they associate fascism with nationalism so they can essentially attack people. Anyone that loves their country, they hate the U.S., by the way. They absolutely hate the U.S. They want the U.S. completely dissolved. Does that tell you anything? They promote an illogical reasoning. They want to use violence or threats of violence to oppress and impose its views on others and discourage manliness and promote effeminate. That's right. They do not believe being manly is a good thing. No wonder Antifa can't fight. Again, I challenge any Antifa to step up. Let's go. Right here. Let's go to the ring. I'll do it. Stop all platforming with anyone deemed a fascist to prevent violence. Again, talking about the ripple effect. They believe by killing someone speaking that they are preventing future violence, that pre-crime theory, because by me speaking the truth or stating my opinion, that is therefore hurting other people down the line. It's amazing work. This is active stuff. They actively are proud that they shut down TPUSA when they were able to speak, probably helped shut down Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, other people at the Daily Wire, other conservative talk show hosts. And this is a primary goal of theirs. They do not want conservative speech. Let's go through a quick timeline of Antifa. Again, getting back to a Rose Festival in 1907 that's been going on. This is one of the first big wins of Antifa. This is the current iteration. You could say that Weather Underground, MCO, FALN, all of those are the hardcore guys before this soft, buttery, effeminate Antifa came forward. Don't get me wrong, Antifa is still a violent threat, but let's be serious. Those cucked soy boys really aren't the FALN of yesteryear. However, they still are a serious threat, as you can see with what happened to Charlie Kirk. With that, I'm going to go through some of their more prominent wins. In 2007, they added a parade to the Rose Festival. This is up in Portland. In 2017, Portland refused to allow the GOP to participate after they got labeled fascist and Nazi. This was Antifa's first big win in Portland, where they basically knocked down the GOP because, again, anything that supports America is considered fascist. Nationalism is equated to fascist in their eyes. In 2017, they started the so-called riots. 2019, one of their members, Spronson, firebombed an ICE detention center. 2020, another one of their members, Michael Rennell, killed a man from the Patriot Prayer. 2020, the wonderful summer of love. Antifa was widespread. They were not in all 140 cities, but they were in several. Multiple municipalities stated that Antifa was and indeed present in those riots. A lot of Antifa members had bricks, cinder blocks. Remember the pallets of bricks that were interspersed throughout the riots? Yeah, you can thank Antifa for that. Don't forget Chaz with dozens killed and $2 billion worth of damages. Not exactly a good look. 2021, they attacked the Freedom Convoy up in Canada. they intentionally attacked and sabotaged the trucks of the Freedom Convoy. Explain it to me, Antifa cucks. How does it make sense that you're going to attack the Freedom Convoy that is fighting the government? Oh yeah, that's right. Canada is already a fallen commie hellhole. Sorry, you're right. It already is. They assaulted Andy No, a journalist, and received no prosecution for it. So this really emboldened them. Andy No is an independent journalist that embedded himself with Antifa. Somebody happened to recognize him. He got called out and beaten nearly to death. He had brain bleeds, had to be rushed to the hospital, and had a long road to recovery after that. 2021. BLM Antifa march on D.C. where they wanted to burn down D.C. 2021, Proud Boys leader was shot by an Antifa member. 2022, one day with 5 wounded, an Antifa assailant killed multiple people, or attempted to. 2022, the Florida Antifa suspect was caught with a homemade bomb, was attempting to firebomb federal buildings. Wonderful. 2022, again, you can see where they're ratcheting things up. 2022, Sacramento high school teacher was caught pushing kids toward Antifa. Rumored that he was part of the group. 2023, again, showing how embedded they are in society. 2023, National Police Association claims that police have been told to stand down since 2014 and were encouraged after 2020 increasingly to leave Antifa alone. Kind of odd, police being told not to do their jobs. And then 2025, the latest, Benjamin Song, along with other Antifa members, performed a Texas ICE ambush and were linked to trans activists. This is where they shot and about murdered several ICE agents. Now, previously I mentioned it's very difficult to stop something like ISIS when you have a decentralized network of cells. So how do you really stop them? You cut off the spigots of funding. So right now, where is the funding coming from for Antifa? Antifa's primary source of funding is Soros. Now, this isn't me just putting on the tinfoil hat. This has been openly stated by Antifa themselves. They have stated that they have been funded by Soros's Open Society Foundation. Soros himself, if you're not familiar with the flea bag, he openly wants the destruction of the Western world. He hates the West. It seems like him and Antifa have a lot in common. It would make sense that he'll be funding these little cretins. The U.S. government has stated that Soros is believed to be providing some funding for Antifa. They didn't really elaborate on how much, just alluded that they do know that more than likely Soros has been funding Antifa. The Hungarian government has declared that Antifa is funded by Soros, at least in their country. And currently, it's rumored and confirmed by Bondi, at least in some respects, if you can believe anything that comes out of Bondi's mouth anymore, that they are under a RICO investigation. The reason why this is important is because it goes to show if Antifa is under a RICO investigation, they can begin tracing the funding, back to Soros. Not only is Soros been funding them, but we have, indeed. We have been funding them through USAID grants. Surprise! Pretty much any state, so Minneapolis, California, anytime you see a state and freedom fund or a municipality and law center, that's funding that's going for their care in the legal system. They get really good, really nice lawyers. Not only lawyers to protect them, but lawyers that then threaten to sue, guess who? The police for arresting them. That's why the police have been told to stand down and leave Antifa alone, because we've been funding the very agencies that are suing our police forces on behalf of Antifa for when they get arrested. Each arrest is frivolous, each lawsuit is frivolous, but each lawsuit drains the coffers from the municipal police staff. There you go. There's a way to defund the police using our own money to do it. Well done. The Anew America Foundation. Oh yeah, the wonderful Rockefeller Philanthropy Foundation. World Vision, Global Communities, National Democratic Institute, Consortium for Elections. You get the point. National Endowment for Democracy. You get the point. We have been funding them through USAID grants. wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Why, oh why, are we not prosecuting these people that have supposed to have been the key people holding down these funds and where the money's supposed to be going? Who has been dispersing these funds and allowing the funds to go to Antifa? Would love to know that. Hope this RICO case actually goes somewhere. Not only do I want to see Soros behind bars, I love to see half of Congress behind bars. And no, I don't just mean the Democrats, because I know it's not just the Democrats in this case. Right, guys, I want to shift over now to this weekend. For those of you who care and have a soul, which I know you my dogs, Charlie Kirk's being buried this weekend. And Sunday, I want to go over about the memorial and what you can be expected. Right now, they've got a whirlwind of wonderful speakers coming to speak at his memorial on Sunday. The memorial service will be held, of course, on Sunday the 21st at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. The event is first come, first served based on stadium capacity. Stadium capacity, I think states 63,000 and can be expanded to accommodate 10,000. I guarantee you it is going to be filled to the brim. It's already been stated there is massive extra security, which is great because we know what some people would want to do, especially at a memorial, given all the vitriol and ugliness that has come from people on the left that have been pushing additional violence on conservatives. Here's a picture of the stadium. Very nice stadium, indoors. You've got a lot of speakers. Pretty much the entire White House is coming to speak. There's going to be other notables. Candace Owens has stated she is not going. She hasn't exactly stated why, other than it's a Fed affair, whatever that means. But you can expect, the likes of Tucker Carlson. You can... sorry, my mind's gone blank. Stephen Miller, of course, from the White House is going to be there. J.D. Vance, other notable conservatives are going to be there. I'm sure probably half the Daily Wire is going to be there. So it's going to be, a black tie affair to send off Charlie in good stature and keep his legacy alive. It's been rumored that Tucker Carlson's going to be sitting in Charlie's chair for a while. I don't know how long that's going to last, but good on Tucker for sitting there, and good on Erica. I know she's going to do all she can to keep Turning Point running. Good on Erica. So I'll leave you with that. This has been a deep dive with Malvi.